When you think of someone who is likely to go vegan and start a farm sanctuary, I'm pretty sure the first person to pop into your head is not a multi-generational cattle rancher whose entire livelihood is dependent upon the slaughter of cows. Such a conversion would be nothing short of miraculous, right? Well, my guest today is here to share with you a miracle. Hi, it's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. There is seldom anything quite as powerful of a vessel for veganism reaching unlikely populations than the conversion of the most unlikely of the unlikely. I say this all of the time to people who email me and are upset that they didn't go vegan until their 50s or 60s or more, but they will now have the ability to reach other people in that stage of life who may not want to listen to a ridiculously tattooed girl on YouTube. In the same vein, my guest Renee King-Sonnen, who married a multi-generational cattle farmer in Texas, has the unique ability to reach other people who work in the heart of animal agriculture and show them that there is another way, that they don't have to make their income from the suffering and death of other beings. One of the objections to a vegan world is that farmers will be out of work. Well, Renee is blazing the path to an alternative. I'm so excited for you to meet this one-a-woman revolution. All right, well, Renee, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule caring for the animals to be on the channel and talk a little bit about your story.
Awesome. So good to be here.
All right, so can you tell us a little bit about how it is that you became a cattle rancher?
Well, I became a cattle rancher by default. I assure you it wasn't in my plans to have anything remotely to do with even living in the country. My husband, Tommy, he's been, in his whole family generationally has been in cattle ranching. And so when I moved here, the cows were here, the chickens. That's how I became a rancher, was by being a city girl that moved to the country and married a man that I really loved.
Talk to us a little bit about the turning point.
Well, I moved out here, and I'd always fancied myself an animal lover. I always loved my dogs and my cats. I had a ferret. My grandma had birds. She used to take us to the zoo, and I loved all the animals and the rodeo. And, being from Texas, that was just a big deal out here. And, never once did I ever have a connection that there was anything remotely ill-conceived or wrong. And when I came to the ranch, I guess in my naivety, I would go, the cows are so cute. Look at the little babies. And, and I'd want to go out there and, and get to know them. I just was naive. And because who in their day-to-day life pets a cow? Who in their day-to-day life goes and, picks up a chicken and hugs it and loves it? It's kept from us. There's a sort of a barrier there. And so living here, because I love animals, I gravitated to animals that I also ate, that I also wore on my skin or my feet. I gravitated to animals that I used to watch in rodeos. And so I started getting this connection because I did have an innate love for animals, but it was enforced and indoctrinated upon me as a young child to love the ones at home and eat the ones out there. And so basically, the turning point for me was the first time the red trailer took the baby calves that I had grown so used to and loved, to the sale barn, which eventually meant to the feedlot and slaughter. And I threatened my husband that I'd go to the sale barn. If we were going to keep doing this, I told him at the final analysis, I said, if we keep doing this, and that red trailer leaves one more time, I'm going to follow it to the sale barn. And what they do there is once they leave here, their life changes forever. They become just slaves. They go into these horrible metal chutes. They're whipped into line. They're tagged. They're branded. They're sold. They're traded. They, either go straight to feedlots where they step in their own feces, their own urine. They're just clustered all together in these horrible environments. They do that, or they get sold to one of these nice, peaceful, wonderful farms, where everything's looks so good on the outside. And you're driving down these Texas roads and you look out and you go, oh, look at those humane cows. Look, those are grass-fed, beautiful cows. So the baby cows will go to ranches like ours was, where everything looks so wonderful from the outside. You know, all it is, we were part of big agriculture. We were part of a system that is destroying the fiber of everything we stand for as humans.
Did you try to, I mean, I'm just trying to picture this. You see them going. Was it just this light that went off? And like, did you talk to your husband about it? Like, how did it progress to where you are now?
The first time that it happened, I remember the red trailer being out in the field. And it just was like so stark against the green grass and the cows and the babies. It was there. It was there for several days because you had to bait the babies to go in. They didn't want to go in except that they were baited. And there was a chain on it so that the babies could get through, but the big ones couldn't. And so I watched that for a few days, and my connection began to get disrupted. There's my disconnect. I started going, the hell? What is going on? You know, and then I snapped back to the good rancher's wife. You know, I'm gotta be tough. And the first time that they had like, I don't know, 6 to 8 of the baby calves trapped in there that I had grown to love the first 7 or 8 months I'd been here. And then when the trailer pulled out, and the mother cows literally chased the trailer, crying, literally chasing it, trying to catch it. The little babies in the trailer, bug-eyed, trying to get out through the little bars, their prison. And I just stood there in disbelief. I think I went into a literal shock. It was the most horrendous. I had been so tough until that point. And then when I saw the trailer go out of the gate and down the highway, and the mother cow still chased them along the fence line, something broke in me. I just broke. And I told my husband after it all happened, that how do you do this? How do you do this? He said, do what? How do you, raise these cows, these babies, and watch them go every 6 months to the sale barn? He said, well, Renee, that's what we have to do. That's what ranchers do. That's how, you get to keep your property in agriculture. That's how you, pay for the tractors and pay for, the insurance, pay for the bills that come in. Renee, we gotta do that. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to sustain the ranch. And I'm like, well, there's something really wrong with this picture. I just started sensing something really wrong. Well, so then Tommy decides I need a calf of my own. And I need to be a real rancher's wife. So that's when Rowdy Girl came in. I bought Rowdy Girl for $300, little bitty calf that had lost her mother. I don't know how it happened. But Rowdy Girl, I never had any of my own kids, so she kind of became my little baby that I bottle fed twice a day, watched her grow up. And he didn't know that was going to be his biggest mistake. So anyway, that's kind of how it happened. The mamas would cry every single night when the babies left. I mean, for days and days, they never stopped. They did not stop until they lost their voice. There was no break. And my husband would just go about his business, watching the news, eating, doing whatever. And I'm over here about to go out of my mind, going outside with them, screaming, hollering, crying, begging forgiveness. And of course, all the while I was eating hamburgers and chicken sandwiches.
So when is it that you decided not only that you were going to create a farm sanctuary and out of this, cattle ranch, but also go vegan? I mean, was that kind of a simultaneous thing? Like, when and how did all of that happen?
Well, what happened was every 6 or 7 months is when you sell the calves. The mama cows were here enslaved. I later learned after I went vegan, the calves would be born. They'd go to the sale barn every 6 months. Well, me living here made it very difficult for my husband to do that. So it started getting pushed out 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. Till the last time it had been 10 months. The red trailer has not gone to the sale barn since February of last year. in this past December, we were like at a breaking point, almost ready to divorce. I'd gone vegan October 31st of last year, Halloween. I started watching just videos. I started like just peeking at stuff that I didn't really want to watch. I would bring chicken sandwiches home. I'd be eating them and my chickens would be at my feet. And I would start getting this breakdown in my awareness that I was eating their cousin or their mother. I'd be bringing home hamburger meat or steaks from Kroger, and I would be pulling into my driveway and not want to look at the cows. I find myself literally not wanting to look. Like, I didn't even want to know that they were there. I had this vision like this. That was right before I went vegan. And from that day forward, I've done everything I can to, no matter what it is, even from honey to, I used to eat my own eggs here at the ranch. I don't do that anymore. We just don't do that. I mean, every time I find out something's vegan, I immediately make the decision to act in integrity with that ethic, because we need to be doing that. Houdini had been getting out every single day. If you've heard anything about the story, Houdini was getting out along the highway. And so my husband was adamant that Houdini was going to have to get out of here. She was a liability. And there was no way, because that was Rowdy Girl's baby. And so I looked all over Texas for a home. But there was no one that would take these cows. No one. And so after that, and Houdini and the cops and trying to find homes, one day I told my husband, look, I can't find a home. Why don't we just figure out how to have a sanctuary right here in Texas? He thought I'd lost my mind, He said, have you lost your mind? Literally, this is not LA. This is not New York. And he said, well, it ain't going to work. We can't do that here, Renee. No way. I'm a member of the Brazoria County Cattlemen's Association. We can't do that. And what would everybody think? And there's no way that could happen here in the middle of all these sale barns all around us. And I said, well, what if I just buy your cows? And that's when he just about lost it. Screaming, no, let me buy them. Let me try to buy these cows. Let me figure out how to have a sanctuary. I said, maybe you don't know how to do it. Maybe I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure somebody does. And so that's what happened. And I didn't know, but I think my heart space and my soul lined up with a real big vacuum and a need for our planet. It's a planet. This is for our planet that I'm doing this. He's okay with it. I mean, he went vegan too, And
I heard about that. How long did that take? And was it? Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I just want to hear more about that.
That was crazy, because during this whole time, I had tons of deer antlers on my wall, which was about to drive me freaking nuts. I felt like I was living in a morgue, because once, I don't know about the world, but once I went vegan, my sensitivity went out the roof.
Yeah.
So I walk into my living room with this giant elk on my wall, and I would just go. I mean, I was feeling the heaviness of them all over me. And my husband was going plant-based at the time. But, his heritage was as a hunter. His dad, his granddad, his great-grandfather had a slaughterhouse, for God's sakes, in Houston, one of the biggest ones. They used to drive cows from San Antonio like cowboys days, Because his heritage, it was so deep, it was really hard for him to make the connection, especially about the deer heads being on the wall, because they were just mementos. Right. He would use this terminology with me, and I showed him your hunter one. Oh. That hunt? Oh, yeah. Back before he took them off the wall, I showed him. I said, you got to watch this. You got to see this. So I showed him I love that one. And, of course, he watched it. It might have been part of his decision, because there was several different things that did. But he finally just one day decided he didn't want him on the wall anymore. And now I hear my husband talking all the time about how good it is for your health. I hear him talking about, because we're having tours. We have tours every weekend. And I hear him telling visitors, how good it is for the animals. He's making the connection. He's gone from plant-based to now, I would say that in his ethics, in his mind, he's probably 75% vegan in his mind. He's definitely totally plant-based. But he's getting there ethically, too.
Well,
Yep.
thank you so much for everything that you're doing and for your powerful testimony and just your passion. I think that alone, I mean, look at everything that you've accomplished just by having this change in your mind that I'm not going to stand for this anymore, and now it's become this incredible thing. So just thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you, Emily.
I hope you enjoyed hearing Renee's incredible story of conversion. I think her husband may win the Most Unlikely Vegan of All Time award. Renee has the support of such heavy hitters as Kip Anderson, the creator of Cowspiracy, and Howard Lyman, a former cattle rancher himself turned vegan animal advocate. And her mission is growing by the day. You can check out all of her links below to get in touch. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this incredible story. Does this make you rethink the possibility of who can be vegan? Are you an unlikely vegan or vegan to be? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this inspirational story, give the video a big thumbs up and share it around to show that anyone, anywhere can live a life of compassion. If you're new here, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down there for more awesome vegan content every Monday, Wednesday, and some Fridays, and not to miss out on other inspiring stories. If you want to help support Bite Size Vegan, check out either of the support links in the video description below, and for perks and rewards for your support, you can click on the Nugget Army icon there or the link in the iCard sidebar. Now go live vegan, never dismiss anyone as a potential vegan, and I'll see you soon.
Why in the world would you eat a chicken and love a dog? Why would you do that? Here's my babies, and they are so awesome. They live side by side together, and I hope that all of you can one day make a decision to go vegan. Peace out.